Well, we're going to get a bit more detail on this as polls in Massachusetts and Virginia open. I can bring in Michael Cox, who's an international relations scholar at LSE. He joins us from London. So 2 good victories for Trump, one from the Supreme Court and North Dakota as well. But Nikki Haley did well in DC. What results are you expecting by the end of Super Tuesday?
They always say never predict, so I won't make a prediction, but here's my prediction. When we come to November, Trump will be the Republican candidate and Biden will be the Democratic candidate. I personally think that the rest is really just detail. I mean, what could be much more significant is not that they don't stand, that we might get a third party candidate coming in, which may take votes either away from Biden or either away from Trump. And it's going to be such a close election that the intervention of a third party candidate could be actually decisive in November.
All right, who's that going to be then?
Well, there's the Kennedy intervention, there's the Green Party, and it's always worth remembering that in a number of elections in the past, being very brief about it, third-party candidates have made a difference. It may have even made a difference back in 2000 when Bush became president of the United States. So I'm not going to make a prediction as to who, but if a third-party candidate did intervene, I think in particular the Biden team would be worried because they would worry that it might take votes away from them. And that would be very crucial in a very big electorate, but where the margin for winning or losing is very, very small.
Absolutely. And Michael, the conflict in Gaza is increasingly on the minds of voters. So I do want to ask you about that. But before I do, let's just hear from some young voters in North Carolina about what they have to say about what's going on over in Gaza.
I'm not a one-issue voter, per se, but I think I have certain red lines, and I think aiding the starvation of children is the red line for me personally. And so I would say to try to maybe not do that so much. And if there are significant changes in Gaza, then maybe I could think about it. But we already have 30,000 dead people and 13,000 dead children. And, you know, all with the aid of Joe Biden. So for me, it's a red line that I just can't get myself behind.
There's so many battles to be fought on our home front, and you know, these people who are saying, oh, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden because of this one issue, I think we really need to look at the larger picture. And you know, not voting is voting for Trump, and you've got to, you know, realize that, you know, he might not be the perfect candidate for you on everything, but he's the perfect candidate for this moment because he has and he will again defeat Donald Trump.
So I guess, Michael, do you think the ongoing conflict is impacting people's decision right now in the primaries? And then how might it influence them come the election?
Yeah, good question. I mean, now, of course, there is a degree of anger, particularly amongst younger people, amongst Arab Americans, and indeed inside Joe Biden's own party, and indeed inside his administration about the policy that he's pursuing, which they don't think is strong enough on ceasefire and is too much in the Israel camp. That's now. And we saw that in Michigan just recently, didn't we? Where they had 100,000 people who were not committed. But not committed in February and March in Michigan. When you come to the ballot in October, November, and you've got Trump on one side and Biden on the other, I think as the second speaker there mentioned, I can see the anger and it could make a difference. But I think when the push comes to shove, I think many of those uncommitted now, when they look at the alternative to Biden is going to be Trump, whose views on Israel are even harder line than those of Biden, judging by his previous statements, then that may not make the difference